Hi, it's Lee, and welcome to the Tesla Economist. Some people say Tesla has unlimited demand, and other people say that those people are delusional fanboys. Obviously, the word unlimited in this perspective is open for interpretation, so how about we define it and explore whether or not Tesla really does have unlimited demand? I think when we say unlimited demand, what we really mean is that Tesla can find a buyer for all the cars they can make and still make a good profit margin. Right now, this is very much the case. Tesla can keep making more Model Ys and sell them all, and keep getting great margins. Okay, some of the demand potentially is dropping in China, but this has since been compensated by lowering prices. And this was an economic effect, not a Tesla related demand drop. Tesla lowering their prices now means that Tesla are passing on this demand drop to other competitors, as the consumers who are going to buy from the competition can now afford to buy a Tesla. This will always be the case. Whenever Tesla lower their prices or offer lower model variants, it will take away from demand of other autos. The thing is, Tesla have an insane buffer of margin to lower prices a lot more, but they don't have the supply to cover this demand. Potentially interpreted that Tesla has unlimited demand because they have limited supply. But what if Tesla doubled their supply or tripled it or made 3 or 4 million Model Ys a year? Is there really enough demand for that? Well, Tesla could likely still sell 3 or 4 million Model Ys a year. Right, now I sound like the delusional fanboy, some of you might think. But before you stop watching, at least hear me out. Now, if Tesla stepped up to that level of production, then there would be some serious economies of scale. The OPEX per vehicle would drop from over $7,000 per vehicle to about $2,000 per vehicle. Do you see? There's already $5,000 more operating profit per vehicle due to the economies of scale. Not only that, there'd be more local manufacturing. For example, right now, the majority of Model Ys sold in Europe come from China. They're shipped at great cost, and even more cost is the import tariffs they face. Again, this would probably reduce the cost of the car by a further $7,000 or so. Wow, just through economies of scale, we've managed to reduce costs of European Model Ys by about $12,000. And as we're going through the unlimited demand scenario, then we get to use these economies of scale. Alright, so with economies of scale alone, Tesla could just cut costs in Europe by $12,000 just from local production. Alright, it might cost less to manufacture in China, but equally, Shanghai is using old manufacturing techniques compared to how Tesla can make vehicles now. China is also not using vertical integration when it comes to the most expensive component that goes into a vehicle, the battery. Tesla are buying their batteries from third-party suppliers who make profits from these sales and are not as good or as efficient at manufacturing batteries as Tesla are. And on top of that, we're also not factoring in actual economies of scale of the fact Tesla would have tripled or quadrupled their production of Model Ys and thus be able to get their supplies at lower costs. Their plants would be producing more vehicles per square foot of the factory floor, and all other associated cost savings that more than compensate for higher costs in Europe over China. When you factor in actual battery savings too, and all the above, then we have likely saved about $15,000 costs in Europe compared to importing from China, due to the economies of scale and vertical integration. In other words, in this scenario, Tesla could drop the price of their Model Y by $15,000 and still make the same gross profit. But not only that, due to the price dropping, perhaps 30%, and still making the same gross profit, it would mean that Tesla's gross margins would have increased, as it's the same amount of profit relative to a lower priced vehicle. Now, just imagine how much more demand Tesla would have for a Model Y in Europe at $15,000 less. And then we're now dealing with something like 40 or 45% margins, especially if we factor in some FSD. So Tesla could drop their prices another 10% or so if they wanted to, or even 20%, and still make a good operating profit. In my opinion, this is starting to look like what I would call unlimited demand. Tesla has this insane operating leverage that keeps getting better again with their latest manufacturing techniques. And that's the ones we have today. There is still more to come with this new platform we heard about. And this is the Model Y we're talking about. Tesla could do this for the Model 3 too, and perhaps make a Model 3 for about $3,000 lower cost than the Y, due to it simply being less of a car. This is also without Tesla making their own LFP cells, or whatever low-cost, less energy-dense cell Tesla decide to make with the 4680 to keep it structural. Again, due to this level of economies of scale, Tesla can justify far more investment in more cell factories, lithium refineries, etc. The vertical integration kicks in further, which means lower cost, more supply, a virtuous circle. And FSD could change all of this again. For starters, if Tesla was making so much more money in FSD, then they may want to lower the initial capital cost of the vehicle to get bums in seats to clip the ticket for FSD. More vehicles sold, more FSD revenue, which is highly profitable. But not only that, we have really only seen Tesla's demand they have in the EV industry. They'll be the first vehicle manufacturer to offer AVs to private passengers too. This is going to be an absolutely massive industry, and Tesla will not just lead it, they will own it for themselves for at least this decade. Well, that will only further add to the unlimited demand. But the saying isn't that the Model Y has unlimited demand, it's that Tesla has unlimited demand. Well, limited to 80 million a year or so. That's about how many new cars are sold each year. And not everyone want a Tesla, so they may only get about 25% market share if things go really well, which is what we keep hearing, 20 million cars a year. So perhaps this is about where Tesla's unlimited demand limits itself, which, let's face it, is still pretty huge. So Tesla will keep selling every car they make at massive profits, and then once they hit 20 million a year or so, they'll stop. There'll be an earnings call and Elon will say something like, "We finally hit our target of 20 million deliveries this year. We're very happy with that. It feels funny being a multi-trillionaire now, and we are happy with the contribution that we have made in transitioning the world. But the rest is up to the competition to turn the world electric. But we don't want to make any more of these incredibly profitable cars." Right. No, I don't think so. Why would Tesla want to stop making cars to transition the world? 20 million is a target for 2030, not the end of Tesla. Tesla will keep going if they're going to accelerate the transition of renewable energy. Again, this is where you think I'm a delusional fanboy. No way more than 20 million people can afford a Tesla. Well, Elon said they can build the next Tesla at half the cost of a Model 3. We're talking in the vicinity of $15,000 now. In 2030, it could even be $10,000, adjusted for inflation. Factor in all the other battery efficiencies and all sorts of breakthroughs we might expect by 2030, then it's very possible. Even if Tesla had a price of $20,000 with 50% margin and FSD on top of that, then I think we see some real demand. But not everyone wants a compact car. Not all 80 million new car buyers. Some want large SUVs, trucks, sports cars, etc. Yes, but you may still be thinking zero sum, or 80 million sum to be more accurate. Teslas are not competing in the new car market. They'll be competing with the used car market. A very high percentage of the global population can afford $20,000 for a vehicle that would cost possibly something like under $100 a month to run. Remember, we're talking about 2030, with more efficiencies in battery. This would be a smaller, lighter car with a smaller battery too, and not cost as much. And of course, Tesla will have insurance. Solar and battery storage might have also reduced energy costs by that time as well, or solar is simply so lower cost and more people can afford it in their homes, along with battery storage too. Still, $20,000 is a lot of money for some people. Well, what if Tesla offered financing over 10 years, and with a small deposit, then your payments are just $200 a month, and then you're saving $200 a month, not having to run your previous ICE vehicle on gas, insurance, servicing, engine maintenance. Then, the number of people who could potentially afford this vehicle in the world might be classified as unlimited demand. But if you want me to put a number on it, then I would say possibly 100 million a year. So many people in the world could make the sacrifice to save wherever they needed to, or work that little bit harder to afford this amazing, safe car with all the Tesla features we expect. And we didn't even need to get into the demand for robotaxis or local subsidies. But personally, I'm happy enough to call that unlimited demand. And saying otherwise is just splitting hairs. Thanks for listening. Please hit the thumbs up and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter and talk to me on Patreon.